Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another exciting episode of the Transformation Hour. I am your host, Jay Jackson, and it is the show designed to help us connect so that individuals, businesses, and communities can develop, transform, and fly in your life or your business. Our main topics on this show focus on leadership, personal development, entrepreneurship, or anything that you need help to get your mind, body, and soul right. And today's topic of discussion is going to be dealing with adversity. And look, today's special guest, he is not faint of heart. He has definitely had some challenges and some adversity throughout his life and even his career. And he's going to share some of the nuggets that some tips and nuggets to help you get from where you are to where you want to be based on his experiences. My special guest is Mr. Clizark himself. And let me tell you a little bit about this superstar. So dig this. Look, Keith has over 12 million records sold and $525 million, $500 million generated to his production credits, guys. He's one of the music industry's best kept secrets, the epitome of a new breed of business savvy music entrepreneurs, and he is the CEO of Team Mashn Entertainment. When I was doing my research on this guy, this acronym popped out, and it's one that I love to use all the time, TEAM, together everybody achieves more. But most important, when he has this Mashn thing on the end of it, MASHN, my apologies, it talks about moving amongst shady humans and negativity. Ooh, look, y'all already know that I refuse to allow anything shady, anything negative into my environment, into my human experience. So you know we're going to dig deep on that one. But as a part of his musical genius, yes, I said genius, he has produced hit records for people like Snoop Dogg, Dre, Too Short, Master P, Kurupt, Mystical, the Eastsidaz, T.R.U, and many, many more. So you know he's a professional. You know he's at the top of his game. And here's most importantly, guys, Mr. Keith's, his music has been featured in motion pictures and television networks such as Warner Brothers, MGM, BET, MTV, Cartoon Network, and look, HGTV, what? So look, if I haven't given you enough information, guess what you can go out and do? You can go out and Google Mr. Keith Clizark, Keith, last name Clizark. Keith, my man. Look, we had a great conversation offline. I know this one's gonna be dope online. Let's go, man. Welcome to the show. How you doing today, brother?
Man, I'm phenomenal, fam. Thanks for that introduction, man. I think that's the best introduction I've ever had during an interview, brother. Thank you.
All right, look. All right, you said it. You got to take me on tour with you now, bro. It's official.
It's going down.
But welcome, man. I appreciate you coming on to the show. Thank you for your time. I'm grateful for that in advance. I'm grateful for the wisdom, knowledge, and nuggets that you're going to drop on the listeners of today's broadcast. But really quick, man, let's get into it. Tell us a little bit about your journey, a little bit from, your childhood, and just, how the process, some of the things you've went through to get to where you are today.
In retrospect, fam, I look at my journey, man, it's really magical in hindsight. I got the best of both worlds, and it will come together in this conversation. I was born in Mississippi, but at the age of 4, my mom, she transplanted to California, Long Beach, East Side to be exact. So with that being said, we know Long Beach is kind of a cesspool for talent, man. It was something literally in the water there. So I found music found me there. I heard this record called Flashlight, man. It was at my Auntie Barbara's house, and they played the record, man. I was mesmerized. I just stared at the speaker. It's like, I don't know what it was, but I knew I wanted to be a part of it,
Right.
So it wasn't until hip hop came along until I got like a platform to express what I was feeling. So I got into the break dancing and the rapping and all that stuff, but ultimately I became a DJ. Was my calling. And from there, I got tired of really spinning the records, so to speak. I'm like, man, I can make better records than what I'm spinning. And I got into the production of it. This all at an early age. Like at 17, I got a chance to produce my first record, and at 21, I was able to produce my first commercial, like major label record, you know. Um, yeah, that's just midpoint of the career. I'll digress if you have any questions, because it's a lot that went on in that period.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I tell you, it's amazing how we can go from, like you said, you're born in Mississippi, you go out to LA, it's a new world. You were introduced, to some new opportunities, and you hear this music, and you feel like, okay, something's speaking to my soul here. Like this is really, I'm attracted to this. And so when you go through the process of going, being introduced to the music industry, and learning the ropes, so to speak, what are some of the major keys, so to speak, not to plug DJ Khaled like that, but what are some of the major keys that you had to grasp along the way to ensure that you grew and became more successful until you got to that first commercial album?
I mean, first and foremost, it was just being really blind and just loving the music.
Mm,
It was just really, really all about the music and uncompromisingly about the music with me, and that consistency and that mindset. It led me. I can't say I put that first major release together, man. That was the universe,
mm.
and me being prepared for the opportunity when it hit me, and we look at being prepared. My thing is like, it's a lifestyle, man. It's like, stay prepared is a lifestyle. It's
Right.
not let's get it together right now, or I'm about to go to church on Sunday, or you know what I mean. It's like 24/7 all day with me. So that's how I was able to really get the first opportunity major release. It was actually with Capitol Records, and it was with a group called 3D. Um, got like a top 10 dance record, like in Europe and the UK. So yeah, I
Yeah.
was.
It's amazing, man, how you say, because like even before we even started the broadcast, we talked about, I asked you, jokingly, of course, like if you were ready, and I knew you were ready. And you said, yo, I'm always ready. If you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. And I think a lot of people lose sight, of that, like constantly working on your craft, constantly, working on your gifts, your talents, your skills, and whatever it is that you do, especially in the music industry, because like you said, there's so many cats out there who are just hungry, and they're always looking for their next opportunity. And so if you're not ready and prepared when the opportunity presents itself, you can miss out on some major chances that you could have it to change your life.
Absolutely, absolutely, and I've learned in this journey that there's blessings in the failures.
Mm, yeah, man, no doubt, no doubt. So when speaking of failures, what would you say is your biggest failure? And again, there's always a learning opportunity from our failures, guys. For those of you who are out there listening, I tell people your fail just means your first attempt in learning. So it's not a failure if you really take that experience and learn from it. But Keith, for you, what would you say was the I guess the most significant setback that allowed you to really position yourself to be propelled to a higher level?
Ooh wee, there's two pinnacles. Well, the first one is my first major release. Is like, I was so into the music and I wasn't so much into the business.
Mm,
Um, to that situation ultimately turned out not to my favor. You know, um, Money wise, I mean, yeah, I got credit, but I need the money. I need, pay
right.
this guy's money. But I charge it to the game. Learning publishing and the longevity of it and all that good stuff. But yeah, that right there propelled me, because I really focused on the business, like obsessively. Like, this can never happen again. You know, so at the same time in school, you know, I took some classes, business classes. While I was in the music program, I took, you know, some music business classes as well.
So you talked about, you start studying obsessively. And I think a lot of people, take that word obsession or even, OCD to be, having some form of negative connotation to it. What's your thought on obsessing over, something that you are really passionate about or you even consider to be your purpose?
Okay, I'll give you this example. If you burnt your hand on some fire to get to get air, you got to stick your hand through the fire to get some air to breathe, live.
Right.
Uh, you're gonna obsessively figure out how the hell can I not get burnt but get this air to breathe.
Mm, mm.
So I kind of looked at it like that, man. It's like not for long, but I wanted enough to not get taken again. I wanted to understand the music because here it is. There's the music business and there's the music industry and then there's just the music. You know,
Right, right.
it's three totally separate different things. You know, master the music, uh, learn the music business, and outsmart the music industry. You dig?
Mm. So it is. I wonder, is that why? So like, I've always been a fan of music. I think just that's the purest form of art and creativity and genius. Being able to, take whatever has been downloaded to you, from the universe, and
Right.
putting it in word, ballads, sonnets, and all of that. The formats of music, and being able to express yourself. And I think that's where a lot of people who don't understand hip hop or don't understand rap is that it is just a pure expression of life and my experiences. When we talk about, you say, it's the three parts of music. When we talk about music today versus music when you first got started, what's your take on it?
I mean, the landscape has been changed. You know, technology, the digital age has really changed the landscape to where you see a lot of the majors over the last 10 years, they really downscaled. Um, when I was coming up, the majors, they actually developed artists. You know what I mean? They used to give them what is called like a demo budget to go and cut 3 or 4 records to see if they are good enough to get signed, you know, and it's not like that no more. With the digital age, the majors want you to like, how many followers do you have? How many hits and how many records have you sold already prior to coming to us? You know, it's
Mm,
you gotta be a star coming to them. And I always say by that time you don't need them. You know,
right.
maybe need their money for marketing and promotion, but you don't need to sign to them. You show and improve on your own on an independent level.
Yeah, and I've learned, just from watching, some artists who talk about that in their music or even talk about it in some of their interviews. I've learned that a lot of cats they've lost sight that the industry has changed, and that you can start your own label. And like Nas even talks about it, in his one track album Done, where he's like, look, start your own label and sign yourself. And that's what most cats don't realize. Like, hey, the power is in the hands of the artist now. The major labels don't control everything anymore. And if you position yourself right, you can start to get sponsors, who will pay for you as an influencer, and then you take that money, reinvest it into your marketing campaign, and really grow your audience and grow your reach. So yeah, I don't understand why a lot of cats do that, man. Don't see that or pay attention to that.
Because they see the end result. They see the fame, the glitz, you know, the glamour, but they really don't see what it takes to get to that point. You know, that's why with this generation, I call it the fast food generation. It's like they want instant gratification. You know, and the most quickest way to fame is to copy another person's swag or thing. You feel what I'm saying? That's
Mhm.
why in music, it's like, man, I can't disseminate who's who and what's what, you know?
Mm.
Everyone is kind of sounding the same. They're clones. And I equate that to they want to get the popularity quick, so they're gonna do what's working. And it takes away from the art of it, fam, just the spirituality of the music. It's like you said earlier, the universe is giving you something and you're actually manifesting it to the physical, you know. Um, where is that now in the music? You know, it's not even a process with these producers nowadays. It's like I run into them, they like, man, I just did 20 tracks yesterday. And I'm thinking in my mind, how in the hell you, you know? Um, so yeah, man, I'll digress. I'm not gonna go on no tangent about that.
No, and it's cool, man, because like, yeah, and it's okay if you do, to go on a tangent and really express yourself about it because you're passionate about it. And I agree, even in this space that I'm in of, coaching, training, speaking, authoring books and things of that nature, it really blows my mind as to how some, experts, and I throw the air quotes out there because of course people can't see it right now, these so-called experts say, oh, I pushed out 3 books this year. And I'm like, when do you possibly, and I know we can always, pay somebody to be a ghostwriter, but even then, that's not what's been downloaded into you. That's not the true message and gift that you should be sharing with the world if you're pushing out content through, somebody else. That's their genius. It's not really your genius. And I think a lot of people, don't realize that they do. They have that creative genius, that they have the ability to, really take what's inside of them, push it out to the world, push it out to the market, and really, create something that has the ability to last, to sustain, to leave a legacy. And oftentimes it's because most cats don't have a vision. They get into it, like you said, for that quick buck, this microwave society, and they don't want to actually grind and put in the necessary work to help them get to that next level. And that's why. So, speaking of some of the artists, that you're working with, guys who have that longevity, whether it's Snoop, Dre, even P, like Master P. I tell people, like, they talk about all the money that he's lost, and I say, but P's still a hustler. He still knows how to go out and get money and make money regardless of what you think he's lost. So with your company right now, with Team Mashn and what you're doing with your record label, just allowing artists to have this platform so that they can really put their music out there without a lot of those barriers, that really shows, that you do have a vision. So talk to us a little bit about your vision for the music industry.
Okay, where I'm at right now is creating my own universe. You know, the everyone should strive to be the decision maker and the check cutter. You
Mm.
dig? And that's the space that I'm in right now. And what I'm doing, I started Team Winning Consulting about 2.5 years ago, inadvertently. Just doing a lot of talking to different people, and my business partner, like, hey Keith, you're doing a lot of talking and giving information out, and it's kind of taken away from some of your projects. You need to monetize your conversation. And I had an epiphany. I'm like, wow, I can get paid and I can help people too at the same time, and for me and my family. um, so we started this boutique firm, and it's been incredible being able to give back to artists who actually have all the pieces, but no one gave them the picture, the example to fit it all together. And I bring that aspect um, to it, and it's crazy just to watch people take the information, actually apply it, and flourish. I mean, it's a feeling, man. I can't even describe it, man. I love it. It's like I get high off of seeing people take it and do something with it. Um, so yeah, the Team Winning Consulting firm is putting people with the right blueprint for them. There's no one way for everyone. We organically get in with each individual and assess it and see where they're trying to be, and then bring reality to it. You know.
Right, I love it, man. I love it. And so you talk. I mean, the acronym. I'm gonna go back a little bit so we can talk about the acronym of team. Together, everyone achieves more. What's your philosophy? Behind the concept of team and unity and the strength in numbers and things of that nature.
Yes, yes, yes. With that, fam, I understand like a sports team. You can't have one person doing everything. You need to have specialists, you know, like Kareem and
Right.
Magic, they were specialists. And I equate that the same way to a team in this industry. You need to be a specialist at what you do. Personally, I don't need you to do multiple things, but have one that you're mastering. Um, and that's the team right there. Together, everyone achieves more because we're all specialists. We're never going to step on each other's toes. Just do your thing. It's like building a stealth bomber. It's not built in one place, man. It's in multiple places that thing is assembled. You dig?
Right.
By specialists, but the same concept here. And the moving among shady humans and negativity, this business has a very, very, very.
Uh-oh, did I lose you, bro? All right. So I think we lost our connection. I don't know if we did or didn't. I can't hear Keith right now. But if we did, I will bring him back on shortly. But ladies and gentlemen, this is the Transformation Hour. And you guys,
We're not being dictated to.
okay. So I'm gonna have to go back, Keith, for a second, and we'll go back and edit this before we push it out. You mind repeating the piece about when you started with the team? We're all specialists, and then it cut out for some reason. I couldn't hear you.
Okay.
My bad, bro.
No, all good. Just give me a 3, 2, 1.
Yep. Ready, go.
I mean, the whole concept of the team was really, based off like the sports, like I was saying, everyone is specialists at what they do. By that, with that being said, when no one steps on anyone's toes, and we move accordingly. And the mashing element is that we're forceful with it. Mashing is with force. And I was mentioning just this business just has a very wicked overtone to it. And I'm not about, my people getting took like that. So with that being said, team mashing, we're a team actually mashing. That's the mindset. We understand what the industry is, we can be in it, but not a part of it, hence, that's why I say I'm creating my own universe with it.
Mm. And speaking of teams, ladies and gentlemen, I want to tell you guys really, really quick, if you don't have a community of like-minded people and entrepreneurs, I highly recommend and invite you to join my Facebook tribe, which is Increased Impact and Profits with Jay Jackson, so you can receive support and accountability to help you get from where you want to be in your life and your business. We talk about creating additional streams of income, advice when you get stuck, and so much more. But I wanted to make sure you guys had the opportunity to join us there. But Keith, you talked about creating your own universe, and this is the first time I've heard someone specifically say create your own universe. I know we're creators. I know that we all have the ability to impact the universe that we live in. But what I want to ask you now is, if if you as Keith, if you could plant one seed into the minds of unborn children, what would that seed be?
That's deep. A seed into unborn children.
Absolutely. Because I'll share this. Let me make sure people understand this, and most people may not understand. I was reading this book called The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace Wattles,
Yes, indeed.
and he made the point of how our mental programming or our mental conditioning begins upon conception. And so my nephew was born 2 Christmases ago. So this December he'll be 2 years. And when I read this book prior to my sister becoming pregnant with him, I said, okay, I'm going to try something. And I've been very intentional throughout the pregnancy with him, and even now she's pregnant with my niece. I've been very intentional about when I speak to her over the phone, or when we do video chat, or even when we're in person, I'll go up to her belly and actually just start speaking life and speaking greatness and
Yes.
speaking genius. So what would be one seed that you would plant into the mind of an unborn child?
Oh, that is so deep. And as you're talking, I'm really thinking about it, and I'm trying to find the words. With that being said, I think children are born brilliant, and when they get to the world, they're dumbed down.
Mm, Mm-hmm.
So my thing is, I don't have the words, but just to keep your essence, you know, is to keep your essence, in a sense of always know who you are and what you are.
Yeah. Don't conform to the world. Don't allow the world to, mold you into what the world thinks
Yes.
you should be.
Like they say, art imitate life or life imitate art.
Mm,
You dig? It's like you are an original thought of the creator having a physical manifestation.
mm.
That's who you are. You know, nothing outside of yourself can dictate that who you are. You
It's
know, if there was a word or something to say to that unborn seed, that's what I would instill.
No, and that's perfect, bro. Because I guarantee you, those of you guys who are out there listening right now, you probably thought we were going to talk about the music industry the entire time. You didn't think we were going to go a little deep, but that's what this is all about. I think a lot of times we lose sight of the importance of the depth of our conversation. So many people stay on the surface level. They become linear, but they never go deep into understanding who they are, what they're capable of doing, the true power that they've been gifted with. And so that's one of my personal, what I believe to be my purpose, one of my missions as I remain in the physical form, is to help people truly discover, like you said, their essence, what they have within them, and then to allow that greatness to manifest itself in the physical form so that you can really live a life of abundance the way that you were created and designed, to live. And that's just my personal perspective on
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. It's like I mentioned to a friend of mine a couple of weeks ago. It's like, man, really looking back, and I said that music chose me. I didn't choose it. And then I realized that I thought I was producing the music, right?
it.
But the music was producing me the whole time.
I love it. Yeah. So it's funny you say that, man, because like even like when I wrote my first book, I was so locked in and I was in such a place mentally where I felt like I gotta get these thoughts out of my head and onto paper because it was like I was having these headaches, man. It's like it was so locked up in my mind, like I needed to get this out of me. And then when I got to the end of the book, and you go back and you're reading and redrafting and editing, and I'm reading through this, and there were a couple of times I can be honest with you where I was like, who did this come out of? Like, like who wrote this? And I totally understand
Mm,
where you're coming from. When you say life imitating art or art imitating life, or the music was creating you, I really feel like that first book of mine really created me because it allowed me to go back and I had to read my own book several times because
mm.
I had to go back and go, okay, like this is what this is all about. I can see the vision, I can see some of the dreams and the ideas and the creativity within my own words. Now let's walk into it in the physical form. So I totally understand where you're coming from, bro.
Yes, yes. Yeah, I just try to that whole concept, try to convey it to the youth. You know, everyone coming behind us. You know, is really the mission. You know, in general. You know, my whole mission is to leave something for my children's children. You know,
Mm-hmm.
uh, a dynasty. You know, to where they don't have to work for anyone. They just maintain the family business, you know, and cousins and people who went to school for certain things who want to come in. This is a place to come, you know.
Yeah, and I think, man, so many people, in particular, just I think people in general overall, but of course, I'm very passionate about the African American community, and I make sure I put this out there for anybody who's listening. Just because I have pride in my community doesn't mean I'm anti anybody. So let's make sure that's clear. Um,
Right.
but at the end of the day, I think that so much so in our community, we need more people. In particular, we need more men having that conversation about legacy, about what we're going to leave behind, because like I had a conversation with my grandmother a couple of weeks ago, and she's 76, she's elderly, of course, and she was talking about how she's not going to leave anything. And I understand, that's a mindset that has been conditioned into, our community for generations and generations. And so I try to
Yep.
tell everybody, like, look, if you want future generations to have a better life than what you have, or what your parents or grandparents had, we have to start thinking legacy. We have to start thinking
Hmm.
generational wealth. We have to start
Yes.
thinking, life insurance policies that go beyond just the funeral, the casket, and some food
Right.
at the end of it. So that's a major mindset shift, that I think a lot of people need to take. So speaking of that, man, what would you say has been the biggest mindset shift that you've had to make throughout, your career in this journey?
Wow. Um, Once I truly understood who I am and what I am and my purpose here, it's almost like a power.
Mm,
And you can use it for bad or you can use it for good. You
mm-hmm.
know, earlier in my career, it was a struggle. Um, but I got control of it. And because I saw the consequences of misappropriating, the blessing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm straight now,
I
you
can
know,
dig it.
in a nutshell.
No, I can dig it, bro, because I was the same way. I think that it took me, and I don't know if you and I have had this conversation, and I think we touched on it a little bit. So, for those of you who might be new to Jay Jackson, I was facing up to 10 years in a military prison 4 years ago. And I tell people that was my moment of awakening, where
Mm,
I feel like, whether, archangel, God, universe, source, higher intelligence, whatever, took me up to 30,000 feet and let me go and said, all right, you want to keep doing it your way, you need to figure it the hell out on your own. And that was one of the moments where I said, I had to make this shift and say, look, you got all of these gifts, these talents. You're creating a life that you want. You're getting everything that you want out of life, but you're not doing it for the good. You're not doing it to make a positive impact. You're not doing it, to really help others, on their journey. You're misusing it, and so
right,
you're not going to use it properly, then you don't deserve to have it. And that's one of the things I try to tell people, like, why are you here? Stop just, being here, taking up space, taking up oxygen, do something with your life.
right. I mean, and sometimes people, it's generational. If when you know better, you do better. Some people just don't know what better is. You
Hmm.
know, just plain and simple, they don't until someone shows them. And with the youth, it's so hard is because they so caught up with this the flashy things. Is like without that, you can't even talk to them.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
but the beauty of the music is so universal, um, that with the music, I'm able to communicate with all ages and convey a thought and mindsets and concepts to them that they can understand. Versus you may have a minister or someone, just an inspirational speaker. They don't have that conduit to connect like that.
Yeah, because I think it goes back to, and this is one of the things that, kind of frustrates me, and it's one of what another part of what my mission is to actually challenge, that particular community to, stop going along with the status quo, stop taking, what has been passed down to you from generation to generation and just perpetuating, unhealthy behaviors, unhealthy thought patterns, unhealthy beliefs. Because I think that, it's been curses. Most people don't realize that your words are powerful enough, and you can speak curses over people's lives, and people's lives are dysfunctional and not even realizing why their life is dysfunctional. It's because, they've associated with people who don't even realize the power of what they're saying and what they're doing. So no
Yep.
doubt, man, I think we have to, create a new breed, or a new brand of leadership in every industry, music, the clergy, politics, business, so that, like you said, we can now be that conduit, we can be that bridge, to bridge the gap between the youth and who we are so that they don't continue to perpetuate those same unhealthy habits into eternity, man.
Yes, that's the overall mission. But the biggest thing is to continue to be successful. We can preach and tell it, but if we ain't living it,
Right.
they ain't gonna deal with it. So we just got to continue to do what we're doing, and show them that, okay, I'm telling you something, but I'm also living what I'm telling you too.
Mm-hmm.
You're young, you have the opportunity to do it bigger and better than me
Mm-hmm.
if you listen. You know, that's the thing.
Yeah, or like you said, when I finally learned, this statement of success leaves clues, and so I try to tell, the young people, whatever career path you want to follow, find somebody who's doing it the way that you want to do it, and your spirit, your soul will speak to you as to whether or not it's the right person to follow or the right path to follow. But find somebody who's doing it the way you want to do it and model their behaviors, for the good, of course, but model their behaviors, and you too can live a healthier, more abundant life, and you don't have to settle, for the examples that you see around yourself, or settle for the cards that have been dealt to you.
True, true indeed. And just to back up to what you were saying earlier, like we need more men in the community, and with hip hop has been weaponized,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
the agenda is to feminize these men. As we can see, we're seeing people like Young Jock walking around in dresses, and guys wearing halter tops, and these hip hop guys. Like, man, what's really going on? And I get it. It's an agenda. Um, that's another way to break up the black community is to first they took away the man out the house, and now they attacking the youth through the music, and having them wear a dress and take drugs, and like it's the thing to do. And when I said misappropriate my power, and there was a repercussion early in my career, that was one of the things, not to lose the point, but it was a cannabis culture when I came up,
I
you
got
know,
you.
and I did a lot of that. I was a proponent of that in the wrong way, not the right way. And
Yeah.
go ahead.
Go. No, you got it, brother. My bad. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I completed my thought. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I think that we when we sit back and we reflect, hindsight, of course, is 2020. There are some things that we can, as adults, we can always look back and say, hey, I could have done this different. I could have done that different. And if this broadcast manages to get into the hands of a younger person, I want to share this with you. Um, it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to, have your challenges. Life isn't going to end just because you're going through a tough time right now. And if this also goes to the adults that might be listening, take your, setbacks and learn from them, make some adjustments, rearrange your team if you have to, put a better strategy or a better blueprint and plan together, and then you have
Yes,
to get back on your horse and keep on riding. I want to make sure that is very clear to everybody out there who's listening right
yes, yes. I did all what you just said. And just before we end, I want to just add a story.
now. Go ahead, bro.
Um, Multi-platinum producer at this point in my career, but I was going through a depression, and I didn't know what it was until way later in life that it was a depression.
Mm,
It's like I had these records out, but I would wake up in the morning with like, what am I gonna do? I didn't know what to do, and I didn't know why. It's like crazy. It's like brilliant with the music, but okay, how do I connect life and everything together? What do I do? And man, this went on for maybe like 4 or 5 months. And finally, through a series of conversations um, with my elders, I was able to put it together and snap up out of it, and really become a way better human being after that. But I say this to say success don't guarantee you emotionally how you're going to feel, you know?
mm.
it's no guarantee you're just going to be happy with money and the success. Real talk, because I was going through something with the money, you know, and I just had to get connected back to the spiritual, you know, side of it. Made it all better in a nutshell with my conversations with the elders. You know, my advice is to go back inside.
Yeah, man, you know, I can attest to that the same as you. When I transitioned out of the military, guys, even, and I'll be honest, even before my transition, I was also similar, suffering from that same depression. You know, turned to marijuana and used it as a crutch to really band-aid some deeper issues that I was struggling with, some issues from childhood, some issues from, you know, some experiences that I had while I was in Baghdad, Iraq, or experiences I had while I was in Mali, Africa. And I tell you guys, you know, do whatever you can to heal internally, because the spiritual thing, it's real. You know, it's a very important aspect of our lives, but I think we've discounted it and it's been watered down because, you know, we're not really truly being taught what I believe we should be taught. We're just regurgitating things that we've heard, you know, our elders say, and unfortunately, sometimes it's due to ignorance, not to any fault of their own. It just is what it is. You know,
Right.
if your teachers, and I'll even go back a few hundred years, and I try to make sure people understand that when there was church, even during times of slavery, most of the masters who were the preachers and who were teaching, they were illiterate individuals, and so they're just, you know, teaching, you know, ignorance and things that have been passed down to them, and it just, you know, it just flows from generation to generation. So if there's anybody out there right now that is struggling with any kind of mental health challenge, you know, depression, suicidal thoughts, PTSD, I'm a huge advocate of getting help in whatever area you feel you should get your help. It's okay. There's no stigma associated with it. If someone tries to tell you that something's wrong with you for getting help, um, they're wrong. So it is
Right.
okay for you to get yourself checked out so that you can really look at your core, really look at your, back to what Mr. Keith was talking about, your essence of who you are, and what you have inside of you, because you are great. You were created to be great. You were created to be a genius. You have genius in you. You just got to dig deep and tap into it and open that stuff up.
Yes,
So,
indeed.
so I digress on that. All right. So one last question, brother, and this is a question that I ask each and every last one of my guests. And I ask this question simply because of a lot of the things that we've talked about in this particular episode, where, you know, people are, you know, living by the status quo. They're living mundane lives. They're living just, you know, average and in mediocrity. And so I want to help those who are listening to, you know, this particular episode of the Transformation Hour. I want you to share with them, what does it mean to you to be extraordinary?
That's an easy one, fam. To be extraordinary is to be yourself, because you are one in a gazillion. There's no one else like you. You know, you're the light, you're the energy, you know, there's nothing duplicated. If you stay true to that, there it is.
Nice. He said that's one easy. And that was. I love it. I love it. I love it. All right, Keith. So here's the deal. Do me a favor, man. Tell the listeners how they can find you on whether social media, your website, and even any projects that you got coming up right now, so that they can be on the lookout for and go out there and be a part of this movement that Team Mashn is a part of, just using force to make sure everybody understands. Together, everybody achieves more. Just talk to us about where they can find you at.
Okay, you can find us at teammashn.com. That's TEAMMASHN.com. Or for any entertainment entrepreneurs or artists who are trying to get to the next level and want to book a consultation with me, they can also email me direct, and that's Keith Clizark. Let me spell it out for you. That's KEITHCLIZARK @gmail.com. Just send your inquiries there, and I'll link up with you, and we can go from there.
Awesome, 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 man. Look, I appreciate you for just your time, for dropping some wisdom, dropping some nuggets, your views, your perspectives on the three levels of music, whether it's just the music, the industry, or even the business side of it all. Just thank you for being that light, for being that energy, for being positivity. I'm grateful for you in advance. Ladies and gentlemen who are listening to this broadcast, we hope that this conversation added value to help you get from where you are to where you want to be in your life or your business. Check us out on all the different social media platforms. And if you're searching for some more in-depth information guaranteed to help you change the way that you approach your life, your career, or your business to improve your results, you can click the link in the description of this particular broadcast, and you can access more training resources to help you develop, transform, and fly to new heights. This has been the Transformation Hour. I'm your host, Jay Jackson, and until next time, peace.